Joe, I know you had a chance to talk to a parent of a hospitalized player. What did they tell you today?
Yeah, Will, what the parents at the hospital are wondering is why their sons were put through what they believe to be unusual workouts by the Iowa strength and conditioning coaches. Now, according to one parent, prior to that first very intense workout that led to these problems, a strength coach told the players that Iowa football had failed too often this season, and that, quote, "We're going to find out today who wants to be here." Now, Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz showed up at the hospital on Wednesday. That's 2 days after these players were admitted to the hospital, Will, and here's what one parent told me he told Kirk Ferentz. Quote, "Where were you? How can you be out recruiting other kids? You sat in our living room and told us you'd take care of them." The parent added, "I believe he, Kirk Ferentz, is devastated by all of this. He has been wonderful, but his mistake was not coming off the road right away." Now, Will, the parent tells me that all 13 players have passed tests for illegal drugs in their system. Several players are expected to be released today, several more expected to be released tomorrow. This parent told me that one player, according to doctors, has sustained 20 to 30% kidney failure, and that whether or not he'll be able to recover from that is at this time debatable.
Joe Schad with the very latest. And now for the medical perspective in all this, we bring in Dr. Michael Kaplan. And doctor, in layman's terms, what happened to these players?
Well, this is a problem where these guys obviously had significant overexertion, and usually it's associated with some insufficient hydration. And what happens is they actually break down the muscle. It's a physical, sort of almost like a crush injury, but they break down the muscle from overexertion. The muscle then goes in the bloodstream and can't be adequately excreted by the kidneys. The kidneys kind of get overloaded, and then they can go into what we call acute renal failure. So they hospitalize these guys. They treat them with IV fluids. Sometimes it gets so bad they have to even put them on dialysis for a bit. But it sounds like all these kids are going to recover.
What are the chances of a full recovery? Because it sounds like some of these situations are pretty dire.
Yeah, I think the chances of full recovery are excellent. Obviously, some of the kids are already on their way home. The one who's had 30% kidney damage will recover. I don't know that any of these guys require dialysis, but it's serious business. I mean, there are occasions where it's so bad the kidneys can completely shut down and you can even die from it. So this is a big deal. Obviously, I think they'll be a little bit more careful. It presents with severe muscle pain and black urine, which is probably the case here.
Dr. Michael Kaplan with the medical perspective of this story. So, Tom, given what we know, and you just heard what Dr. Kaplan had to say, did Iowa cross the line here?
I think that's what this investigation will reveal, and to some degree, off the information we know now, I believe that they likely did cross the line. Now, we as players and coaches have all been through rigorous, intense workouts, whether those workouts have been brought on by an angry strength conditioning coach or athletic training staff that's not happy with the results on the field, that's debatable. But if you take that anger or you take that what you believe to be motivating circumstance, Rod, and you turn it into something that it should not be, that's when I think you've got a problem, and hopefully we will find out some answers here. And the other thing, keep in mind, this is coming off of a Christmas break where you probably had a lot of guys sitting on their sofa, not working out, so they go from doing nothing to an intense workout. Probably didn't do their bodies much good.
Well, I think it's clear. The thing speaks for itself. You got 13 guys in the hospital, and there's a term in the legal profession called res ipsa loquitur, and that's what it means. The thing speaks for itself. 13 guys following the break. Probably not so much are we trying to develop these guys and get them in shape, but much more we're a little angry. We're going to punish them because of all of the fourth quarter losses that we had. And no one was supervising the strength coach about this. And as a lawyer, I got to tell you, in my opinion, you're probably looking at some guys thinking about filing suit against the university.
Yeah, and if it turns into that, now we start really talking about Kirk Ferentz and his role as the head coach, because I think sometimes everybody talks about the head coach being responsible for wins and losses, being responsible for the overall well-being of the program on the field as well as off. But sometimes they don't associate that with being responsible for your support staff, whether it's in the strength and conditioning area or it's in the athletic training area. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the buck stops with him, and that's the pressure these coaches are under. I don't believe that anybody, and the parents said that they don't fault Kirk Ferentz. They know he feels terrible. They fault him not immediately coming to the aid of his players.
You know, he's a good guy, and we all like Kirk Ferentz.
And a good coach.
And good coach,
Yep.
no question about that. But he made some mistakes.
Sure.
I mean, the first mistake, in my view, is that he is responsible for the program, and he's got to oversee what the strength coach and all the other coaches are doing. And whatever happens in the program, as you said, falls on Kirk Ferentz. No question about that. The second thing, that parent is absolutely right. You cannot be on the road recruiting future players when you have 12 or 13 current players in the hospital. Your place is in the hospital with those parents, with those players.
And keep in mind, they've got a whole host of assistants also on the road recruiting, so they were getting it done there. He needed to be back.
And Kirk Ferentz has yet to make a statement on this situation.